After hitting a high in October, we're starting to see inventory come back down. So what does that mean as we head into the winter months if you're a buyer or seller, and what can we expect? My name is Jeremy Williams with the Bannack Real Estate Group, and for the last 20 years I've tried to provide hyper-local information so you can make educated and informed decisions when it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Why is this important? Well, there's so much false information out there in even our local, regional, and traditional media channels that we normally watch. And that information is a lot of times clickbait, something that's going to cause you to click on something but might not tell the full story. So we want to make sure that we're making the best informed decisions possible. So with that, let's get into this month's market report. Before we get into what we could expect coming into the winter time, let's go through some of the numbers. Right now there's 227 properties on the market, which is actually down a little bit. If you've been watching our videos, I anticipated a push of inventory coming into October into November, and then what happens is a lot of sellers tend to either sold their properties or take their houses off the market, and not as much inventory comes on the market during the winter months. So looks like the peak was in October, and I do expect that inventory to slowly decrease in the next couple months, giving you a little bit less options than we've seen in the past. Now, we have 135 pendings on the market. Out of that, 65 were new pendings that went under contract last month, and there's 75 sold for October. So those are about normal markets. What we're seeing is, in the last 2 years, we're seeing more of a normal trend where spring has a pent-up the buyer demand and seller demand for the most part, and a lot of activity in the spring and summer, and then it just simply slows down. It's not that homes don't sell, but there's just not as many buyers and not as many sellers at any given time. But still, plenty of options. So one of the surprising facts that we've seen so far this year is we've been able to maintain about a 5% appreciation rate. So meaning that, you know, house you bought this year compared to last year is 5% more expensive. So we are still seeing appreciation. That's something we're certainly going to watch over the next couple months, but most importantly the next couple months is into March of next year, because that's going to be how the market responds. I do expect prices to soften a little bit in the wintertime. It's what we call normal. We haven't seen a normal market in a couple of years, but for the last 2 years we've seen a normal market. Right now, price ranges, if you're in that $600 to $700 price range, it's been more of a buyer's market, and that's the same if you're $1 million to $2 million. Just, you know, more of a normal market. It's a buyer's market, more inventory than it is buyers. In the rest of the market, it's still a very strong seller's market. As we round up the year, another stat that I want to bring to you, and we don't talk about this too much, is really how many homes that sell per year. It's one of the things that I track over the last 20 years, just to get a glimpse of, is our inventory growing? Is sales growing at the same pace our community is? And one of the interesting things I found is over the last 20 years, the average number of homes that sell per year is 1,200 homes. So we've seen a couple years that have gone up to 1,500. We've seen a couple years that have been as low as 900 homes per year. But it's relatively stayed the same, which is interesting because our community's grown exponentially. And it just shows that a lot more people are getting into rentals and other options, but it also shows an inventory constrained market, meaning that our Missoula inventory for years or a decade has not been able to keep up for the level of demand, which is artificially keeping the number of sales low. So it's something we're paying attention to. Last year, just over 1,000 homes sold. This year, we're probably going to be a little bit under that. I think we'll probably end up around 900, 950 sold properties for this year. That rivals pretty close to some of the slower years that we saw during the recession, but again, this year was definitely inventory constrained with the low number of houses. Didn't give the buyers very many options. Next, I want to talk about absorption rate and list the sales price. And we're seeing some trends between the two that are working together in concert to set some tolerances, a floor and a ceiling, that when our market hits one of these floors or ceilings, it's starting to respond in certain ways. So that gives us some indications of what we can expect as we pay attention to the numbers headed into the next couple months. Now, if you've been watching, you know that I spend a lot of time on absorption rate. And basically, if we have 6 months of inventory, it's considered a normal market. Over 6 months is a buyer's market, under 6 months is a seller's market. Most of this year we've been about 2 months of inventory. Extreme seller's market means there's a lot more buyers than there are sellers. Inventory constrained market has kind of been the theme this year. And so what we've been seeing, we talked about how October into November, we're going to see a big push of inventory. That happened. Our absorption rate went up to 3.3 months of inventory. And then just recently it's come back down to 3 months of inventory. It's the highest that we've seen in a while, but still very low, very extreme seller's market still. And what's important about this is when we look at the list of sales price, meaning when you list a house, you traditionally get 100% list the sales price, or you get more over asking price or under asking price. It gives us some ideas of the health of the market. Well, every time we've hit about 3 months of absorption, that's softened a little bit. Now in a normal market, I expect about 97% list the sales price, but most of this year we saw 100% list the sales price. In the beginning of the year when we were up to 3 months of inventory, we were at 97, and just recently over the last 2 months, when we've hit that 3 months of inventory mark, same kind of thing. We've seen 97 to 99% list the sales price, which means we've seen a little bit of softening on prices or sellers being a little bit more negotiable as there's been more competition in the marketplace. So that's something we're going to pay attention to next year. If we start heading up to 4s, 5s, and 6s for inventory, well, that's going to be normalized in market. However, it might affect pricing. So what does this all mean? Well, if you're a buyer, winter can be a great time to purchase a house. Now, you don't have as many options as you normally have, but sometimes sellers are more negotiable than they would be other times because there's just not as many buyers and competition for the house. Now, if you're a seller, it's actually not a bad time to sell either because of that low competition. A lot of sellers say, hey, we want to wait till spring, but what happens in spring? A lot of buyers show up, but so do a lot of other sellers, creating competition. So selling in the winter time can actually be a good time to sell. You're not going to get a lot of showings, but you're not going to get those looky-loos. You're going to get serious buyers through your house. So we're going to be paying attention the next couple months. After next month, I'm going to put together a whole year review and give our predictions of what we could expect heading into the new year. If you have any specific questions, reach out. Please subscribe so you can see our videos and follow the market, but also make a comment so we have some ideas of what kind of information you think would be valuable to put in those videos. If you have any questions, of course, you could always reach me on my cell. Number is 406-531-1519, and we look forward to talking to you soon.